Alright, so this is part 3 of the modeling, texturing, and rendering of this aerosol spray can. So for this video, we are finally going to unwrap it. So let's get started. So the first thing I did before I do anything is I make sure that everything's cleaned up, make sure you don't have any sort of, verts that are, or edges that are out of line or don't meet up, and make sure you have anything that will eventually be easy to unwrap, because sometimes when you have something that doesn't, let's say you have a vert that goes all the way out into this one section of the model, then you have something that's probably not either connected to another vert, so it's probably split, which means you'll have to go in and just sort of fix that. But everything seems to be fairly well in place from what I am staring at. So I deleted the bottom face of this because I don't think we're really going to see it, and it just doesn't really make any sense to even have it. So we're not going to see it, therefore why have it? Okay. And then just kind of make sure everything's working well here. I might go ahead and just look at this one more time. I could probably just take all these verts right here before I do anything. Make sure I have not selected. Yep, see, I selected some verts over here. Just kind of look at this. There we go. Essentially, I could probably just get rid of that because I don't think I'm really going to need it. So that just seems to be fairly well suited. Okay, well, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. So once you have all this set, you're going to go ahead and select your assign new material. You're going to assign a Lambert material. Then for the color, you click on the checkerboard in your attribute editor. And then you're going to select checker. Now, there are different materials you can use besides checker. I know that some people do not prefer this, but I don't really have a problem with it as a guide for unwrapping. So we'll go into our shaded mode and we'll see that everything is very messy and nothing's really lining up. So that obviously entails time to unwrap. Okay, so for the first part, I'm going to go from the bottom to top, and I do things a little bit differently, I guess, or not really differently, but just I try to do things in a very orderly fashion. I don't necessarily go for the whole thing at once or half of it at once, because it obviously, can go, it can get very messy, and sometimes it's just not very well structured. So I'm going to go this kind of the longer way, the longer route, but it's going to be a lot easier, and I'll be able to explain it in a more detailed sense. So let me just select these faces on the bottom, and I'm going to go to Create UV Cylindrical Mapping, and then I'm going to get this option right here, and then I'm going to reset it just for kicks and grins, and then you should be able to project whatever you have selected at the bottom. And there you go. Now you kind of look at your attributes here, and you see that, well, you have a projection horizontal sweep of 180 degrees, which is only about half of it. So if you want, you can go 360 degrees, which is selecting pretty much all of it. But I can see here that I don't seem to have gotten anything, so I'm going to decrease that to about 180. And there you go. So I have this weird flat line, but that's okay. Select all these, go to your UVs, select them all, and then you're going to go to unfold UVs. And then for the unfold constraint, I don't like Maya's preferred algorithm for this. I think it sucks, but unfortunately I don't know the other methods. Some people have said you can download different programs to even unwrap, but I don't necessarily know those very well, so I have to stick with this. So I'm going to do an unfold constraint horizontal and apply and close. And that didn't work. So we're going to do the vertical. And there you go. So we have the vertical. So now you're going to select all the UVs, smooth UV tool, and then you're just going to unfold it. and you get something like that, which, you know, obviously you're going to get the outline of what you just selected, but for now I'm going to leave them at just a flat straight plane. Okay, and then you should get something where, you know, so they're sort of lining up where you get like these square edges, but we still have a lot to do, so obviously it's not going to look perfect. So for the next one, we're going to select this layer, and then we're going to select this layer too. So sometimes it's a little aggravating when you can't select all of the edges, or all the faces, I mean. So you have to go and individually click them. And be careful on this part. This is where you will make a lot of mistakes, or just very careless errors, because sometimes what ends up happening is you select some of the faces, but then you end up selecting something from up here, and then when you unwrap it, it looks completely and utterly distorted. So same thing, cylindrical unwrap, project, and then we're going to do a 360 point sweep. Okay, so now you have something very clean, very smooth like this. So now let's go to the shell. Before I do, let me slow down here and select some UVs. So now I've selected some UVs. Well, if you want the shortcut, hold down Shift, right click, or not Shift, Control, right click to shell, and then it selects everything within that mainframe. So I'm going to do the same thing, horizontal, and there you go. And now it looks very nice. So now we're just going to select the ones we had initially, and if you want, you can obviously scale them up to match this reference, or to match it. But we're going to end up shrinking them anyway. The only effect this has on the model is that your checkerboards are going to be smaller when you increase the size of the UVs. And then the next tip I'm going to offer is when you have a relationship between two sets of unwrapped faces, you're going to get these two highlighted features. So this comes up within this orange highlight. If they have an orange highlight, that means they might have a relationship. Now, I'm only saying they might have a relationship. I'm not saying they definitively have one, because sometimes what ends up happening is, let's say for an example, you select the endpoints right here. Well, they match up right there, but if I were to connect them and sew them, then it ruins it. And then it creates this strange effect right here. So obviously we don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and select these corresponding edges, and we're going to select all of the ones that connect. So unwrapping, in essence, just to kind of bring it down to a simplistic term definition, is it's just basically like a puzzle, and you're putting the pieces together viewing them in a two-dimensional format. And it is a very tedious process. I don't necessarily mind doing it, but it can be a bit of a hassle if you don't know what you're doing. But granted, I'm always learning new things anyway, so it's not like I know everything is myself. So once you've selected them all, you're going to hold shift, right click, move, and sew. And that should perfectly sew them into place. So now you can go ahead and unfold them, horizontal, straighten them out, vertical, just to kind of get more edge to it, so on and so forth. Now once you know once to see or to show that you are, I guess, on the right track, you exit out and you see that your material is lining up, like everything's matching with the model. So the checkerboards are coming together fairly nicely. So make sure you delete your history. So now we'll just kind of, select the shell, and then we'll just shrink this down a bit. And always shrink it unilaterally, from the yellow uniformal scale, because you don't want to do this, or you don't want to do that, and you don't want to scale it if it's not yellow. Otherwise, it will not change together. Okay. So now your squares have gotten a little bit smaller, but they're still lining up. Now, the only downside to using it, to reviewing it through this render is our texture is not really showing up very crisp. Well, the trick to get around this is if you go to your high quality render, and now your squares show up a lot more smoothly and a lot more straight. So that helps. Okay. So now we do the same thing. We're going to select this row right here, and then we're going to select the other one too. And unfortunately, if you double click, it will sometimes work, but other times it won't. You can probably go ahead and try faces to contained, but sometimes that doesn't work either. So you just have to make best with what you have and just select them all individually. Alright, so I'll probably just cut that out. But I've selected all of these faces right here, and now I'm going to do another cylindrical unwrap. So cylindrical unwrap, project, and then I'm going to try doing a 360. Let's see what this gives me. This is good. Select the shell, unfold, horizontal, and there you go. So now we'll just kind of bring those down, shrink them a bit. Bring them to about right here. And then we're going to select all of the corresponding edges that line up with it. In fact, before I do, I'm going to select this one and make it a little bit bigger. That's fine. And I'm going to shorten that a bit. Okay. Select all of these edges. And then just make sure you don't select ones that you don't intend to. Otherwise, you will not get a very clean result. But then again, do you ever get a clean result from this? I don't think so. Okay. So now you've selected those. So hold shift, right click, move to sew UVs. Okay, select all those. Unfold, horizontal. Now it's a little bit more straighter. Let's just kind of look at it. That looks pretty good. I get this weird, see, this is the only thing I don't understand with Maya sometimes, is that the seam is usually the part I don't know how to get around. So that's the only part I couldn't give you an answer on. I mean, if there's a way you can get around this seam, then let me know, because I certainly can never figure it out. So delete the history. Before we do, let's just kind of go back a bit. Let's just see how it looked before. Yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so now you just have to remember this is the bottom part, this is the top, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so now we get to this part, and I think for the can we can just select all of these, and we can just do it ourselves. So make sure we have them all selected. Put it on your gizmo, just kind of see if everything's in line. If it's in the middle, it seems like you've selected all of them at once, then you should be good to go. This one should be fairly quick. Okay. Cylindrical mapping, project, do a 360. select this to shell, unfold UVs, horizontal, and there you go. And then let's see or I might do that again, because I might actually go from a vertical first. Nope. All right. That seems to have done the trick, I hope. So we'll kind of just scale this up a bit. You can see this is the part I can't, if right here is where it doesn't seem to line up. So I don't know how to fix that. Now it's in the back area, which, okay, if it were for like a movie prop, I wouldn't really stress over it, but that's the one piece. That's the one problem I can never figure out. Somebody can figure this out. Who can? I guess it has to do with maybe cutting it somewhere, but I'm going to select, like, let's say I'll select this edge right here, and you can see that this face right here doesn't match with this doesn't match with that. So now it could just be the fact that I'm not, see, I'm selecting these two edges and they both connect. Well, that doesn't work, because then it creates this, ugly map right there. So we'll just undo it, but I don't know how to get around that. So someone's going to have to find an answer for me. All right, so we'll just go ahead and connect these. Now you don't have to connect them, but if you want your textures to flow well together, then you have to. I mean, this will all make sense once we get into Photoshop, why all this tedious work is necessary. There you go. Now we'll just go ahead and select these, smooth it out. That looks pretty good. And just kind of look at it and see if there's any inconsistencies, and looks like everything's matching up. All right, that's good. Just go back to here. All right, everything's good. Okay, so same thing, obviously. It's the same process as far as with the modeling, obviously, with extruding, offset, but same thing with the process of unwrapping. So I'm just going to select all of these. Let me go into shaded mode right here. Select all of these. I'm going a little quickly here, which is not necessarily a good thing, but make sure I don't select anything that I don't want. Okay, and then I'm going to select that too. See, it doesn't select this area, this section, but it selects that one. I don't get that either. I don't understand. All right, so that works. Okay, so same thing, cylindrical. You can do a planar too. Planar is basically just a projection from a bird's eye view, but it only selects what the camera can see. There's obviously ones called create UVs based off of camera, but I don't usually use that. Automatic mapping is way too much of a hassle because it unwrap unless it's something convoluted. But what it does is it unwraps everything piece by piece by piece. However, it doesn't do the most convenient of jobs. Spherical, same thing, is a little bit more about selecting the highlights or the faces of a half circle. It's kind of self-explanatory, but cylindrical and planar are probably the most used. Well, at least what I do for me myself. Okay, so projection, horizontal sweep, 360 degrees. Bring this up. This is going to be for the top, so let me just bring that up. Select these, and then we're going to do an unfold UVs. Let's try vertical first. No, horizontal. There we go. The vertical. No, No, I don't think I need that. Okay. Oh, one of the main things you have to take into consideration, in fact, I didn't do this myself, but I should, is sometimes you have to make sure what section is being highlighted. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you select one section and it highlights this area, or it highlights this area, then you have to switch around the object, or you have to switch around the faces. So you have to flip them in essence. So you go to your button right here, which is align the selected UVs, or not align them, flip them. So then it flips it around, or you can flip it vertically or horizontally. That way, it saves you all the time of having to do it yourself. So keep that in mind. I know that was a bit of a tangent, but that's also something you have to take into consideration. Because if you have selected edges that are lining up, let's say you select them here, but they're being highlighted over here, and then flip them over with this, or flip them horizontally with that. So just keep that in mind. So we're just going to scale this down a bit. Select all of the corresponding angle of edges. Moving so. Select them all. And then we'll just smooth it out. Not really what I wanted, but so let's do an unfold. There we go. Just kind of make sure everything's working. That looks good. Okay. So now you will select these faces. Oops. Having some technical errors. Sorry about that. All right. So I'm going to now select these faces and these faces. Cylindrical map. 360 degrees. So I'm going to take these, select the UVs to shell, unfold them, and there we go. Bring these down, scale them down a bit. There we go. Bring them closer in. Select the fit. All right, so now when you have them sewed in, select the shells, unfold, do another horizontal, and should be good. See how they're, before I do it, the reason why I'm unfolding them afterwards is because when you attach them, well, they're sort of at an angle because they're matching up with how the faces are shaped. So in order to alleviate this problem, we have to go ahead and unfold them again horizontally, and then they should straighten out. I'm curious as to what the process is for doing it vertical. Seems like it just straightens them out even more. So let me just go back. And all right, well, I think I will leave it at that. Okay. Sorry about that, and I'll keep looking. Sometimes you just got to eyeball it. So, all right. So we're making a lot of progress. So things are looking good. So now we select these faces and we select these. Nope. Maya's not going to let us do that. Sorry. No game. Okay, cylindrical map. 360. UV texture editor. Unfold UVs. Horizontal. Bring these down. Then same process. All right. Okay, here's our first problem we've encountered. Okay, so now we've unwrapped them, but unfortunately, it's telling me that the corresponding edge that it's supposed to connect with is over here. So now it's upside down. So yes, this does happen, and I will show you how to fix it. And this is what I was illustrating before. So it's right here. So we have to do a flip on the horizontal axis. So we flip it around, but we still aren't done. So we have to flip it again. And there we go. So now it matches up. So yes, that does happen, and keep that in mind. So just select the shell again, scale it inward a little bit closer, and there you go. Okay, so that works. So now we're going to select it again, unfold it, horizontal, and then vertical. And there you go. Before we do that, let me just exit out of here. Make sure everything's working here. Kind of just eyeball it, make sure everything's lining up. Okay. Good. Okie doke. So this is what we have so far with our unwrap. We're going to definitely have more to add on to it, but we are almost there. So it's just a very long process. So we're going to select the insides now. Okay, make sure I haven't selected anything. Aha! Can't do that. Okay, seems like I've selected everything within it. Cylindrical unwrap, 180, or from 180 to 360, so 360. No. 360. There we go. UV texture editor. Scale this up. Bring that up. Unfold it. Horizontal. Same thing, same problem, just different side. So we are going to flip it, select the shell, and then we're going to go to this gizmo right here. I wonder if there's a shortcut to it. Doesn't appear to be. Okay, so we're going to go up to this button right here, flip it, and then we're going to flip it again with this one. There you go. There you go. So just kind of move it down. Move and sew UVs. Select them all. To shell, unfold. Horizontal, straighten it out. Vertical, straightens it out a bit more. There you go. Alright, so everything's coming along. Let's see how the things are inside. Can't really see it very well. So let's go back into our default render. Alright, that looks good. Because there's no light, or the default light is really horrible. Okay, so let's go back into here, select all of these faces. We're not going to select anything underneath it, because what's the point? You're not going to see it, so why bother? 360, selects all of it. Okay, let's try that again. Might have to do this at a 180. Yeah, so you got a flat line. Don't worry, nothing to worry about. Oh, oops. Horizontal or vertical on full unconstraint, and that should work. Okay, bring this down, make sure everything checks out. Good. Nope, too close. Too close. Okay. Shift, hold, right click, move, sew UVs. There you go. Horizontal, no. Vertical, no. Let's try smoothing it. Unfold, no. Alright, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. That's fine. I'm not going to... I mean, this is going to be more of a metal texture, so I don't think I'm going to really stress over it. Alright. Select, delete all this. Delete all this. Okay. Continuing on. Come on. Okay, same thing, cylindrical mapping, 360. Then we're going to bring these up. Unfold it. Horizontal unconstraint. Scale it down. And repeat. Same process. Okay, so we are getting no corresponding parts. So that means, oh, because when we unwrapped it, well, I neglected to even remotely try to get the bottom portion of here. So let's go into our front view here. See, I neglected to get these faces right around here. And they want us to do that. So I'm going to have to do that. Okay. Otherwise, it's not going to match up. Still not getting them, but I think we're just going to have to leave it at that because I don't know exactly what is causing it, but we might have missed an extra set of faces underneath, but I'm not going to bother. So we're going to have, so we're just going to leave the can and the top piece of the object at its own place. So we're just going to have those separate. All right. So let's delete the history. And we are going to now select these faces right here, these rows, and then go from there. Okay. Select those. Project 180, 360. UV texture editor. Focus on that. Unfold them. Then scale them down. Matchup. It's the same process when you're doing this entire unwrapping. The only hard part is just making sure you don't make a mistake in that effort of doing the same thing over and over again, because the chances of you making one little error increase. So that's why you have to really be patient. I mean, the whole process of unwrapping is just patience. It's all, you have to be patient. And you have to be willing to do the tedious work required. Otherwise, you will not make it. Alright, so we got this part now. I have to select this entire circle. So I'm going to do my best to select it all through here, because I don't feel like selecting all those individually. So I'm going to carefully, and I'm going to emphasize the word carefully, select them all, because when you do select them freeformly, yeah, see? You happen to select faces that you did not intend to select. Alright, so go ahead and make sure, overview, look around, make sure you didn't select anything else. You don't want to have to redo all this again. Okay. Cylindrical, project, projection, horizontal sweep, 360. I mean, this is by far this is a very easy unwrap, but there's just a lot to it that makes it seem like it's more difficult, but that's just how it is. Okay, so you're going to select these faces down here, and then you're going to select these, bring them up a bit, bring them as close as you can, and then connect. Okay, so once you have sewed them on, select all the UVs, unfold them. No, horizontal. See how that, I don't know. Sometimes you can eyeball it and look at it and say that doesn't really do it justice. So you have to kind of look at it. These squares are a little bit too narrow. So maybe what I'll do is I'll shrink this down, and then I'm going to undo it. And no, I have to. Otherwise, the row of squares down here, watch this, don't match up. So we'll do that. That works. No, that's not what I want. Yeah, and then again, this problem right here. I don't know why this happens. So what we'll have to do is figure out how we can maybe straighten them. Maybe we try that, see if that works. Here, let me go back. So I select the UVs on the end right here, and then I push them out. So I hit this little button right here. And then I'm going to take this, do the same thing, push them out that way, and see if that works. And it didn't really do it a lot of justice, so I'm just going to undo it. And leave them to be. Or I could smooth them out, unfold them, and see if that does any better. Most of the time it's not going to do it. No. It does a little bit of a decent job, but I wouldn't say it's amazing. Keep unfolding, and it will not let you unfold anymore. But now all the UVs are out of proportion and not lining up correctly. So I'm going to try my best to straighten it as best as I can until I like it. And for now, we're just going to leave it at that. So that's fine. But this part, I don't know how to fix. This one, yeah, that would just take, I don't know, someone's going to have to let me know. All right, so we're getting closer to the end. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Select these, create UVs, cylindrical unwrap, project, 360. Nope. Change that to 180, so when you projection horizontal sweep, leave it at 180. It's usually those flat surfaces that don't respond well to that. So I'm going to take the UVs and do a horizontal or vertical unfold constraint. Bring them up. Kind of just play around with them. Yeah, I don't want that. Okay. Kind of scale them to a good matchup. There we go. Fine for now. Select them. Moving so. Select the verts, or the UVs, and then just kind of play around with it. Does it do any justice to it when you unfold them? Does an okay job. Wouldn't say it's amazing, but then again, Maya is not known for its wonderful algorithm of unfolding. Okay, so this is a good point to start saving because obviously it likes to freak out every once in a while, so save it. And then for now, just select them, smooth them, try your best to get a good accurate result, but I don't think it's going to give us anything we want. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So now we have to select all of these faces in here, and then cylindrical unwrap, project 360. Same thing. Okay, select all the UVs to shell, unfold, horizontal, straightens it out, vertical doesn't do it justice, so we're just going to do horizontal. Okay, and now we have to select these faces underneath. I know this seems like it's taking forever with this process. Oops, 180. Keep that to 180, I forgot. But this is just how I do it. I'm sure there's many other ways of making this process go way faster, but this is how I'm content with doing it. Okay, so vertical unfolds all those, brings this out. Scale those in. Okay. Select the shell, unfold, horizontal. No, that seems okay. Okay. So we still have plenty to do. So, but it is almost time. Nope. Cylindrical map. Bring these up. Bring these down. Move and so. Select the UVs, go to shell, unfold them. There you go. So we are getting to that finish line. Come on. Almost there. Let's see, did I miss that one section? Did I miss this? Huh. I must have missed it. I don't know why. Yeah, I missed it. I don't know why I didn't get this area with the other one. Oh, jeez. So I just created a little more work for myself. I forgot to select that one area. Oh, boy. Yeah, this is what happens when you keep doing it every single time. So now, just got to bring this up. Okay. There we go. So now that's better. Okay, so select this area. I'm going to try it. I'm going to select all these too. I wish you could just, there we go. See, sometimes it works. Other times it just doesn't. Other times it just wants to select the row going down. Come on. Make it more entertaining or more convenient for us users. But nope, can't do that. Everything has to be the long way. Okay, there we go. Make sure I've not selected any other faces. Good. Okay. Cylindrical mapping, project 180. We'll change that to 360. Bring this up. Unfold, horizontal. Bring this up. Bring it down. Alright, same thing. We're going to flip it horizontally and vertically. So vertically, down, horizontally, across. And now they start to match up. This one area is not cooperating. So if you have one area that's just not really, I don't know, for some reason it's just not selecting it, you might have, see we have some extra verts here. So you have to go find those. Let's try that. Let's go back and see what's causing this problem here. Okay, so hopefully that would fix it. I mean, I'm not sure. We just have an extra vert here. Let's try deleting it. And then we will go ahead and oops, try to repair it. When I repair it the easier way, fill the hole up first, select the corresponding parts, delete, fill a hole, select the edges, soften them. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so my problem was that I was selecting one of the corresponding edges that was supposed to connect to it. However, it was selecting another vert from another edge. So basically what I did to solve it was I selected these and just projected them separately from these two. So when I go to select all of this and all of this and this section right here, well, that doesn't work because it will then get confused, and of course Maya's Unwrap system sucks and it will not do it well. So that's how I solved it. Okay, so now I can go back to this row, select it all, make sure I have everything selected. 360. Okay, so then we can do the same thing. Do shell, unfold. Okay, so now I just highlight this. Since it's selecting from this to there, we are going to flip it horizontally and then vertically, or what should we call it? vertically and horizontally. There we go. Okay. So let's go back into our shaded view and just kind of look at the progress we've made so far. All right, so we're having a little issues here. Unfold, horizontal, there we go. That's a little better, but not spectacular. Did I forget one section? No, I did not, so I don't know why this isn't matching up. Everything is matching up, so I don't know why. Alright, well, moving on. Alright, so I've gotten to a good point where I've unwrapped pretty much most of the object. I still have the top to do, but I'm going to leave that to do myself. So, and I'm just going to kind of briefly go over what I would do. Just cylindrical unwrap this, and then for the circle area, I probably wouldn't go too crazy on it. If you want, you select all the faces. Here, just for a demonstrative purpose, I'm going to select all of the faces here, and then deselect, ones that I don't need. So I'm going to deselect all those, and then I would just do a planar map on that from the from the x-axis or wherever your camera's pointing, and then use that as a separate piece because we're not going to attach it through there. So you would end up basically having something like this, but it wouldn't have all those other pieces on it. So, but that's pretty much it for the unwrap. And then for the next video, we are going to go ahead and scale all of the UVs down into our 0 to 1 space in our UV texture editor. So we're going to scale these down, and then we're going to export them into Photoshop. So hopefully this helped, and I apologize for the lengthiness of this, but that's just how it goes. So enjoy.